Welcome back to Enshrouded. Today, I'm giving you a full step-by-step guide for Enshrouded world save files. This can get a bit confusing, but by the end of this video, you should have a clear understanding of how to back up your worlds, how to share a world with a friend, and how to download someone else's world to explore it for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to first show you how everything works with cloud saves turned off, and then I'm going to show you how everything works with them turned on. So in order to tell if you have cloud saves turned on or off for your Enshrouded game, you're going to go to Enshrouded in the Library tab of Steam, and where it says Play, you'll follow all the way over to the right. There will be a settings icon that says Manage. You'll click that, go to Properties, and then General at the top of Properties here. And then you'll see Steam Cloud. This will either be toggled on or off. And by default, it's usually toggled on, which I like for Enshrouded, but I will show you how it is toggled off and how everything works, and then we'll toggle it on and show you how that works as well, because it is slightly different between the two, and the files will be stored in completely different places. So once it's toggled off, I am going to go ahead and launch up Enshrouded and show you what the home screen looks like, the worlds I have and everything, and then we will go into the File Explorer, and I will explain everything in there. So we're now on the home screen of Enshrouded. I have a few characters, and if I hit play, you'll see I have one world created here labeled Ember, and this is in World Slot 1. By default, the game allows you to create 10 worlds. This is the first world I have created, so it is in default World Slot 1, and I will show you those 10 worlds on screen right now and their corresponding file names, because this is going to be very important going forward. So if you do have all 10 worlds created already, then I will show you how to manage that. But for now, I just have a world in here so that I can explain this. And now I'm going to head over to a File Explorer window and show you the rest from there. All right, so once you've opened a File Explorer window, you'll want to copy the file path that you see on screen right now. I will also leave it in the description of this video so you can copy and paste it from there. And then just replace the part where it says your Windows username with your actual Windows username, and then paste it in the little bar up top here, and that will take you to the Enshrouded folder where your local files are installed without any of the cloud saves on. So you'll see a bunch of files in here, a bunch of character files, and currently right now you can see I only have one world created in Enshrouded, and that file is labeled 3AD85AEA. That is World Slot 1. Every file beyond it is also labeled that same thing for the first portion of the file name, that hex code basically. And the two key files to take note of here are the first file and the _info file. Those are basically our world files, and that's what you'll want to either back up or send your friends. If you're sending them your world file, you will only want to do the plain hex code file and then the _info file. You don't need the info index or the index or any of the character files or any of that unless you want to send them your character, but you'll want to send them these two files. And if you want to do a backup of your entire game and your saved games, you'll want to basically just take this Enshrouded folder, this entire folder, copy it, and then paste it somewhere else on your desktop or somewhere else for the backup. And that is a backup of your entire game, which I highly recommend you doing before you start changing the files within this folder. So let's say, for example, I want to bring a resource world. I want to download a resource world file to mess with from someone else. So I just have a folder where I've downloaded the resource world. You can see this one is labeled 33D84FE5. This is by default in world slot number 10. And I have the _info for that same world file here, because these are the only ones that person needs to send to me in order for me to download their world. So the big thing you want to make sure of is this world file name is different than your world file name that you have actively going, or else it will overwrite that current world file. So this is world slot 10. The one world I had created is world slot number 1, so this will be completely fine. But let's say it was overlapping with a current world. Let's say you had all 10 of your worlds already created and used up. You need to pick one of those 10 worlds that will become the new world you're bringing in. You cannot have those 10 worlds along with an additional world that you download from someone else. So let's just say, for example, this world slot number 1 is one of those 10 worlds, and this world is the one that I don't care about. I don't really need it to be used. I don't need to keep it. You can log into that world, and then the view part here, you can basically hit sort by, or in the sort by part, sorry, you can see date modified. You'll click that and you'll see the date that it was modified for that world. So you'll log in, pay attention to the time, and then see where the date is modified. That's the world that you could replace. And so I can rename these 2 files from the resource world. I can name those to anything I want that's one of those 10 world slots. So if I wanted to rename it to be this, I could rename this file to be exactly this file's name. And then same thing with the info file, I could rename it to be the _info file's name, and you could do that for any slot. So for example, say the world you really want to keep is in slot number 10, you could rename this file to be something like slot number 3, and then that would work, and you could still keep your other world and not have it overwrite your important main world. For my case though, this doesn't overwrite anything because it's slot 10 as I said, and this is only slot 1. I'm just trying to walk you through every step of the way since this can be confusing, so bear with me here. I'll take these 2 files and copy them, and then click in this file location and go ahead and paste them in there. So now you can see I have my info and my normal hex code file in here that are different from my initial world file. We're not replacing any files. So that's literally all you gotta do. Or if there were something that's replacing an existing world, you can just hit replace files or delete those files and put these ones in. Now we can go back over to Steam and we can go ahead and hit play there. And you'll see that that world now shows up on the home screen. All right, here we are back on the home screen. If I hit play and then private, you'll see I have my original Ember world that was in there when we first launched it up. And we have the Shroud Depot world right here that I can go ahead and click play. So without cloud saves turned on, this process is very simple, as you can see. You just drag and drop or copy and paste and move the world files over. And there you have it. You've got the world that you want to download, and if you want to send that world to a friend, all you need, like I said, is the hex code file and the _info file of that world, and then you'll know, okay, that's what I need to send to my friend for them to download everything they need for that world. So now I'm going to show you how to do this all with cloud saves turned on, because this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. All right, so I'm now going to turn cloud saves back on. Same thing, manage, properties, and then we have Steam Cloud is toggled on now. And I'm going to go ahead and launch up Enshrouded and show you the worlds that I have with the Steam Cloud files. So I'm back on the home screen. If I hit play now, you can see in private, I have a world called Testing, a world called Flame, Ember, that's the same one as before, I just have it copy and pasted into here, and then another one called Wilderhaven. So I have 4 worlds currently created, and the key here is that you need to create an additional world that you want to replace with the world you're downloading. That's the difference of Steam Cloud, and I'm going to explain that to you in a bit here, but let's hop over to the File Explorer so you can see the path and where to look for your files for the Steam Cloud, and then I will show you how to transfer and download someone else's world with Steam Cloud. So to access your Steam Cloud files, you will want to head over to the file path that you see on screen right now, and again, it's linked in the description now that you can go ahead and copy and paste, and where it says your Steam ID, you want to place that with your actual Steam ID and then paste this right into the spot next to the search spot again, and that will go to this file place where you will see all of your files that were created with the Steam Cloud, which I have a lot more in here because I use Steam Cloud personally. So I have all my worlds that I've created over the years and everything. That is all in here, my characters and everything. So that's where you find your Steam Cloud worlds. They are all labeled the same. So for example, if I wanted to send my main Ember world to someone, that is also in slot 1 here on Steam. So I could copy these first 2 files, the hex code file and the _info file, send those off to a friend. If I wanted to back the entire game up for Steam Cloud, basically in my Steam ID folder basically of the game, you'll see the remote folder. That is the folder you'd want to copy and then paste somewhere else. And that is your entire backup of your game when you have the cloud saves on. And within that remote folder are all of your files here. So now if you want to download someone else's world, for example, I have that same resource world that I'm going to pull up the folder where I have downloaded those files. It's not the same as local saves. You can't just drag these into the folder, especially if you haven't already created a world in that slot. So I already know that these are named as slot 10, but it's not as simple as just dragging them in. Or if I have a slot 10 already in here, I cannot just delete those files and then drag it in, because what's going to happen here, and this is the part that confuses a lot of people, is that Steam Cloud thinks, oh, hey, wait, there's something wrong. Something changed with the local files. I'm going to overwrite them with what I think the files should be from the last backup. So Steam Cloud is always going to try to overwrite your files, and you're going to be wondering, what the heck? Every time I copy and paste these and put them into here, they're just overwritten, and I can't ever download a world. It's just not working. And what you need to do here is we need to trick Steam Cloud into thinking the world files are the same so that it doesn't overwrite them. And how we're going to do that is go back to Steam and launch Enshrouded with Steam Cloud turned on. And this is the whole thing that I was beginning to explain before, is we're going to create a dummy world that we're then going to replace with the world we're downloading. So I'm going to hit play in private, and let's say, oh, I want to save all of these worlds. I don't want to overwrite any one of these with my resource world that I'm about to download. If you have all 10 worlds taken up, you're going to have to choose one of them that you're going to want to overwrite. So in my case, I only have 4 worlds here. I don't want to overwrite any of them, so I'm going to just go ahead and create a new world, my world 5. I don't care what it's labeled right now. I'm just going to go ahead and create it. And then we are just going to hit play just so that it registers that something has changed, so it can change things in the Steam Cloud files. I think you can do this without hitting play, but I'm just going to go ahead and hit play on the world so that we can log in. Everything's good there. And then I am going to go ahead and quit to desktop. And then you'll want to wait for the cloud status to be up to date, where everything is backed up before moving on to the next step. So now that the game is closed, we can go back into our File Explorer, into the remote folder, and look for the files of that new world that we just created. So I should have said this earlier, but take note of the time that you created that world and logged in. I created it at about 1:30 p.m., so I'm going to go into the sort and do date modified, and we can see a bunch of files right up here that were created and last updated basically at 1:30 p.m. If this was an existing world, again, just log into it so you can then see that that was, in fact, the world that you want to replace, so you don't accidentally replace the rest. And as I mentioned earlier, do a backup before doing any of this in case you mess something up or replace a world by accident. But you can see in here we have a, it says 36D8549E. That's our main world file. And then we have that file _info right here. These two files that were basically created and updated at 1:30 p.m. You'll see this one has a -2 at the end, and the info one is info-3. Don't worry about those numbers. All those mean are that I have created a world in that slot in the history of me playing Enshrouded about 2 or 3 times. Because even if I delete a world, it's just going to register in here as, oh, I created that world a second time in that world slot. So we can completely disregard the numbers at the ends. Those are the 2 numbers that we want to, those are the 2 files basically that we want to replace, because those are the ones that were last modified. So you can see here that my resource world, these files are not the right name because we need to override these 2 files. So for the main world file, I'm going to click it, right click, go to properties, and then we are going to just copy the name, and then go to the resource world main file, and then properties, and we are going to go ahead and paste the name in there. Click OK, and then same thing for the info file. I'm going to click it in here, go to properties, and we can just go ahead and copy the name, and then same thing on this one, properties, and paste the name right in there like that, and click OK. And now we are going to take these 2 files that are now a renamed version of the world I'm trying to download from someone else. So I'm going to go ahead and copy them, and then click into here, go ahead and paste them, and it'll ask me the destination as two files with the same name. I'm just going to replace those two files because we are overwriting that world that we just created. And now when that's done, we can head back over to Steam and click play. And if I look at my worlds here, you'll see we have, again, Shroud Depot version 3.1 here, and no more My World 5. The My World 5 that we just created is now labeled Shroud Depot because we just went ahead and overrided that world slot with the Shroud Depot world slot, and there it is. That's how we can trick the Steam Cloud into thinking that we didn't update things or change the files so that Steam Cloud doesn't go and try to overwrite everything that we do. And that's really the key here, is that you have to change that around and replace an existing world file slot. You can't just drag the files in like you can with the Steam Cloud turned off. So with that said, I hope this tutorial helped you out. If you have any other questions, do be sure to join my Discord server and ask them, or also put them down in the comments. I tried to go over this in the best detail that I could to give you the full picture of what you need to back up, where your files are stored for cloud saves on or off, and especially when Steam Cloud saves are on, this is very important that you have to replace an existing world slot. And same thing, like if I had all 10 worlds created here, I'd have to take this world called Flame. Let's just say this is the one I don't care about as much as the others. So I'd have to take this one. I can go ahead and click play on this Flame world, and then take note of the time that I click play. And then again, go into the File Explorer, sort by the date modified, see that this was the latest world that I clicked play on. So that's the one I want to overwrite. And then you can rename the world files that your friend gave you to match the world files of that world that you just clicked play on. And whether that's an existing world or a new world, you need to replace that save. So I hope that makes sense. And if it did, be sure to subscribe and like the video. And I will see you all next time. Cheers.